Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to another episode of the Peakcast. This time we are actually going to give you something even more unique than we've ever given you. We are going international. We will have IUPUI captain and tennis star Alex Jochim. Alex, I do apologize if I butchered your name again. Alex is someone who has played tennis at IUPUI. He'll be going into his senior year. Provides a great perspective of what a student athlete is and how a student athlete also goes through trauma and a lot of different reality checks that you have as a student athlete. Trauma, depression, anxiety, stress is all reality even for those who play sports at the highest level of college. So stay tuned, be excited, and ready for you guys to really learn. And by the way, he'll have the coolest accent of any guest we've ever had. So be ready. This is the Peakcast,
presented by S3E6,
where we strive to eliminate childhood trauma
while equipping youth to become resilient and better our community.
We discuss social and emotional issues affecting today's time
while bringing you experienced leaders to discuss diverse topics in a fun and informative way.
S3E6 coming to you all the way live.
S3E6 coming to you all the way live. Welcome to another episode of the Peakcast Season 3. It's JP Kiddo Casey and our co-host Raheem the Dream. So, who we got today, son?
Man, we got a person who has been really influential to Brandon's life, and it's going to be really cool to hear him talk about who he is and make an impact towards the youth and show that being an athlete, there's so many parts to it. A lot of times we just think an athlete, they're just there to play whatever sport it is. So we have Alex Jochim. Alex, if I messed up your name, I do apologize. I mess up my name always. Is it Jochim or Jochim?
Bit of both. It's Jochim.
Jochim. Okay, so I wasn't too bad.
It's not too bad.
I butcher names way worse, so just want to But Alex, you are a tennis player at IUPUI. You are going into your senior year. You were co-captain as a junior. That's a big accomplishment. Shows a lot about the type of leader you are, someone who's already a co-captain in their junior year. And the one cool thing about Alex, as you guys are going to hear, is a really cool accent. He's from London, England. So that's a really cool thing. I have a sister in Leeds, but London is probably the greatest part of England, so we can't debate that. But Alex, I would really love for you to introduce yourself and talk about a little bit about yourself, why you picked IUPUI and what tennis means to you, and why you're so passionate about playing tennis, and also just how it is to be a student athlete at IUPUI.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it a lot. But yeah, as you said, my name's Alex. So I'm from London. And I came over to the States to go to IUPUI in the fall of 2018 was my first semester. So I've just finished my third year, that would be. So I don't mean to be a stickler for facts, but I was a captain in my sophomore year. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
I like that.
But yeah, beside the point, IUPUI was a great. I really like. I think the thing that stuck out to me was Brandon and our current head coach, Bren Vasilakis. I really enjoyed speaking to them through the recruiting process. It's quite Zoom, going on Zoom calls with people. It was Skype back then, really. Well, it was a pre-Zoom time, but yeah, it's quite. I would say overwhelming. You're trying to impress everyone you talk to. It's kind of I don't know. It's quite not. I wouldn't say forced, but it's definitely difficult because you're kind of constantly trying to judge how things are going. But no, with Bren, I really felt it was. I talked mostly to Bren, and yeah, I just felt I felt really comfortable speaking to him. And then I spoke to Brandon as well, and just everything they seemed to have to offer, and the culture that they create at IUPUI just really seemed like something I'd enjoy, and I'm glad I did. I met probably the two most influential people in my life, in Brandon and Bren, easily. So I'm definitely very grateful for IUPUI.
So you came from a completely different. Normally, people, when they come from a recruit, they come just from a different state or sometimes even a different city. You came from a whole different country. Um, and then one cool thing is, guys, by the way, Alex is on a completely different time zone. He helped me figure out the time difference from England and here. He said 6 hours ahead, and my brain just wasn't functioning on that. I was like, well, you can do it at this time, right? And he said, wait, I'm 6 hours ahead. So can you talk a little bit about how it was adjusting coming to, first of all, just from a different country, and secondly, what you think about the Midwest and
Right.
especially?
So my start was actually really strange. So I had to get there this is my very first semester, so I had to get there 3 weeks early because I was an international student and do some international orientation and like a 2-week introduction thing. So it was really weird because I got to my dorm and I was like, well, hang on, the dining hall's not open, so I can't get any food. So I had to I'm meeting one of my teammates who's now our assistant coach. I met him for the first time, and I didn't know how much stuff would cost. So I went into Kroger, picked up a lot of stuff that I just needed, and I was like, oh wait, I haven't got enough money for all this, because I didn't. One of the weird things in the States is that the price that you see isn't the final price, because they add tax on afterwards.
Yeah.
But over here, the price that you see is the price that it is. So I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm getting a great deal here. Like I'm getting all this stuff for like $30. Get to checkout, it's like 50. Like, oh no. So my first meeting with him, I had to borrow his money, which wasn't ideal, but yeah, it was probably one of the first adjustments I had to make. But aside from that, I didn't really have any of my teammates in and around campus for the first 3 weeks at all. So I didn't really get to train that much. And it was mostly just introduction stuff. It was quite a lonely experience, I'd say. I do remember being on like FaceTime at home quite a lot, just because I didn't know anyone. I was in a new country, and I was just trying to pass the time until some people turned up, really. Because I was my roommate, who's my teammate, Colton, he didn't get there till 2 or 3 weeks after me. So I was just on my own the whole time, just trying to figure out what to do. So it was a strange adjustment at first, but it definitely once everything got going, got much easier. You felt more busy. I think that first semester was by far the toughest. It was the first time I've been away from home for a consistent amount of time. 4.5 months is a long time to go from nothing to being halfway across the world, that especially. But yeah, it's once I got used to it, I enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it. I quite like Indy as well. It's different to here. It's weird. It's like a big city, but the downtown is quite small in Indy. Whereas London's just got big. It's just massive.
Yeah.
So but I'm right by downtown. I do like it a lot there. It's quite it's not the most busy, so it's almost quite. It's quite peaceful in a weird way. So yeah, I like it, and I like Milwaukee a lot as well. Actually, I've been lucky enough to come up a few times for the Milwaukee Tennis Classic, and also when we've played against Marquette, things like that. And one of my teammates is from Milwaukee, so I came up there for Thanksgiving. I think it was 2 years ago. But yeah, so I like it a lot. I like it a lot for sure.
So one thing that kind of touching on, so a lot of times, you think, oh man, I'm just going to play tennis essentially. And a lot of people are saying, man, that's my dream coming true. I'm going to be playing in college, and I'm going to be a tennis player there. But the reality is that you had to do so many adjustments. You had so many stresses, being away from family. So there's a lot of, in a sense, there's a lot of trauma going away from your family, and a lot of mental health changes that you have to go through, because now you're having to adjust. So props to you for making that work. And looks like you have adjusted completely, perfectly fine. And I really enjoyed that story, hearing about the taxes. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
And I think you're the first international person that we've interviewed, right?
I agree.
So that's a milestone for us.
Yep.
And I could definitely see your pain, going to a different going to a different environment. I can see like Hassan, he's from North Carolina. He moved to Milwaukee. He doesn't have any family or friends. I think I'm his only friend. So with you too,
$5 a day.
Yeah. So with you, you're going across the country. I can see that struggle, just starting from nothing and, having no friends, no support around you. And so I definitely see that as a struggle. So I give you props. I think it takes a lot of resiliency too, because like for my mind, when I feel lonely, I get really like sad, feel a little depressed, and calling your family makes you feel a lot better.
Yep.
But I'm glad you got a lot of friends now, Alex.
Yeah, I've managed to make some friends. Found some English people out there as well.
He named more friends in this podcast than I have, so I'm gonna
Cool. So we like to do a portion called the face list. So this thing is supposed to make you smile. So faces are key values of Strive 365, and faces is an acronym that stands for foster resilience, act with empathy, cultivate change, establish trust, and serve the youth. So what are one of those key values that you use in your daily life, or what are one of those key values that you use in your daily life?
I'd say probably a combination of the first, like fostering resilience and acting with empathy. I think just from my experience, I'm trying to, like I said, before I came to the States, and it was ongoing really, I had quite a bit of struggle with depression and anxiety. It's like I had some, I was in therapy for about 6 months up until like the July, and at the end of July, I went over to the States. So it was quite like a recent thing that I just sort of gotten over, or I say gotten over, because what I then later discovered was like it was still sort of a lot of underlying problems in there, and it all came back, especially, and it got especially bad over the like last year or so. But thankfully, in the past 6 months, especially the past couple months, I've made a lot of improvement. But through that, it's definitely been the biggest learning experience. I'm like, even though it's terrible, you feel absolutely horrible the whole time, but I'm kind of grateful for it in a weird way. It's sort of because I've learned how to live in a weird way. I was very focused on just being like tough and just battling through things, and just like running through the wall type of mentality, but taking a step back and just kind of being aware of what's around you, like being a bit more present and just enjoying it. I mean, what's the point of it? At least this is the point I'm at right now. I think I look at things, I'm like, well, if I'm not enjoying doing this, like really, what is the point? Like if I'm doing something every single day and I'm not enjoying it, then I'm just causing myself more suffering than good. But yeah, at the same time, with the empathy, I've been, in those dark spots. Like I know exactly what it's like and how tough it is to get yourself to do anything, just simple things, or even it's so like, I mean, I can even look at, I had a list of different things I was thinking at the time, because they would just come, like these thoughts would come into my head, like just of giving up, of wanting to die, to be fair. Like it's just so intrusive and controlling, and you feel very, very trapped, and and for a long time it felt like I had no way back really. I didn't really see how it's possible, but as I said, like I'm glad I have now. I'd like to, I've seen other people in similar situations, especially with depression. I mean, it's pretty common, unfortunately, these days. But and you see it all around, and it's become easier for me to spot the signs, I guess, because I see what in other people, what I've seen in myself. But I just try to use my experience to help my friends. I've had to help a couple of my friends with similar things where they've been in really tough situations mentally, and I've talked to them and just explained to them, just try to relate to them a little bit, just make them understand that, or help them to understand that they're not the only one going through it. They're not the first, and they probably won't be the last, but that doesn't take anything away from their experience whatsoever. Like it doesn't really matter how many people have experienced that thing. It's awful,
Yeah. And that you can, because of your experience, that you don't want to leave them alone.
Yeah.
So that's definitely oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, like, you know, do you know, like, did you experience like a traumatic experience that kind of led to that, or was it just more like, you know, mentally, your mind just kind of shifted towards, you know, being like, depressed?
It was a combination of things. I think it was one of those. It was a It was a combination. Like there was I'd say a trigger that was my school over here was very academic focused, like just very intense in that sense, which was good, but it was more of it just
A lot of pressure.
Yes, but that wasn't really it was partly the pressure, but partly because I wanted to go to the States, and that meant doing SATs and things. And our education system over here is different, and that was really of no benefit to them. So they kind of didn't really take what I wanted to do very seriously. And I ended up, after my second to last year of school, I ended up getting kicked out because I didn't get like 3 Bs or something like that. I had to get 3 Bs. And I got like B, C, C or something like that, or B, B, C, I'm not sure. But there was a whole thing around that, and it turned out to be, you know, not being able to do what I wanted to do. Like I guess the other thing is that with the education system over here is if I had had to move school, I would have had to retake that year, which would have made me ineligible to come over to the States. So that happening would have screwed everything up. And so on top of that, it turned out to be unlawful. So there was a whole like judicial review and things like that that went down, and it was you know, it was challenging. I eventually got back into the school, but it was quite like you know, it definitely wasn't the same. And I haven't been back since, because I just you know, I don't want to see that place.
Yeah.
You know? It's just it was not a good experience, and not I mean, I guess you know, it makes me who I am today, I suppose, but I'd rather have not had to deal with that. But it kind of, the reason I bring it up though is because it kind of, that was like the trigger that kind of set in a load of smaller like patterns of thinking that I'd already developed, like worthlessness, hopelessness, those types of things that were already setting in, and that just kind of reaffirmed it, which is why it was so challenging, and probably why it's taking so long to get past. That this is 4 years. This is 4 years ago now. We're talking 4 or 5 years ago now. You know, this started. So, and I'm well on the way. I've been in the best place I have been now and ever probably. So, I'm glad for that, and I'm hoping to see the back end of it now. But yeah, I mean, it was very deep rooted. I think it was things that I'd been maybe not explicitly told, but like, you know, actions speak louder than the words type thing, or like conditioned to believe, I guess.
Definitely agree. Alex, that was really deep, and we really appreciate you sharing that with us and the audience. And just it kind of leads me to talking about what our topic is today. It's perception and reality of a student athlete. So everyone probably just looks at you and says, man, this guy, he has everything that you could ask for. He's playing college tennis. He came from England here. He's able to be successful in so many different ways. He was a captain his sophomore year and his junior year, and now he's coming in his senior year. Very accomplished tennis player already. So a lot of people just look at it and say, man, like, I wish I was in his shoes. Man, I don't have anything, you know, like JP, you would love to be a co-captain, right?
Can I tell my perception? I would think, you know, Alex, he's the co-captain, walking into school like, oh, that's the tennis player captain right there. He's from London. Like, that's the perception, right?
The swag,
coming in, walking in.
Accent, yeah.
But I want to know the reality, because
Yeah.
just hearing your story really, like, it impacted me. I'm like, wow, like, you know, you've been through a lot, and to know that you're comfortable enough to express it because you passed that point, that means a lot. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in what's it really like to be that student athlete.
So kind of going into that, can you just kind of walk us through a normal day of your life, and then kind of some of the obstacles and struggles that you go through? So everyone probably looks at it and thinks, you know, your main struggles are just going to practice or winning a match or something, but it's so much bigger than that. You're not just a tennis player, you're a human being, someone who has so much more to them. And unfortunately, a lot of people just look at athletes and say, oh, they're just athletes, that's all it is. So if you can kind of walk us through your day and your life and the struggles and obstacles, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say in comparison to some of my, especially my teammates doing different degrees, I would say I probably have an easier schedule than they would. I mean, okay, so I'll run you through mine, but I can explain what theirs might look like in comparison to mine and how much tougher theirs can be. But like, I would say a typical one would be like, wake up, depending on the day, depending if we're lifting. If we're lifting, probably I would wake up around 6. Then we'd lift maybe at 7:30, maybe 8. And most people have either 1 or 2 classes after that before we practice at 12, practice for 2 hours. And then we'll come back from practice and have class probably again at 3 or 4:30. Or maybe you have an evening class 6 to 8:40. But in that time, you also might go to the training room if you got some time, like recover, and you got find space here and there to eat as well, and maybe in the evening you might be going to the library as well to finish a project or some homework. But then during season, we also on the weekends we'll travel. So like maybe we typically have classes Monday through Thursday, and Mondays typically our off day. So if we're traveling somewhere, say we're coming up to Milwaukee playing a couple of teams, we'd probably drive up on either Thursday night, Friday, probably Thursday afternoon actually. So we might have to miss a class and catch up when we're on the road. Play Friday, Saturday, maybe drive back Saturday night or Sunday, and then back to classes on Monday. Even though we're not practicing, we've still got that. So sometimes there's not really a complete off day. But having said that, aside from that, this semester I was working about 10 hours a week at the campus center in the COVID testing site. So it wasn't much. I just had the time because I didn't have as many classes this semester in person either because of COVID. So I freed up some time for me. But other people, especially like some of my teammates doing mechanical engineering or something like that, it's a very intense course. I'm doing psychology, and it's not that it isn't intense, but it's not as like maths heavy and stuff like that. Just quantity of work for them is ridiculous. So I've heard that they tell at other schools, they tell you like if you're going to be a student athlete, don't do mechanical engineering because you just will not have the time. And I can see that, and like they're losing sleep over stress, like having tests all the time, homework all the time. Like he's showing me his calendar before, and I'm just like, I'm blown away by how he manages he doesn't have enough hours in the day sometimes. And it definitely can take its toll. Even the busiest semesters I've had, it's difficult, but I guess you learn it's normal to be busy. I'm almost more comfortable being busy now. So you do get used to it.
So fair to say that the journey has really been a great one for you. There's been ups and downs, but the journey where it's taken you, you've been really happy with where it's at right now.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there were downs. Like it's probably mostly been downs, especially over the past couple of years. Like it's been pretty rough for me, especially in my head. Like it's one of those. It's one of those things where I can't even. I want to explain it, but I partly can't really remember it because my mind just like blocked it out. I had some notes on what I was feeling at the time, and because I used to log like day to day, like how I was feeling and stuff like that. And I just remember I'd like small things, like just looking back on the day and thinking of something I was proud of. I was like, oh, nothing, like not even one thing.
What's one key advice you'd give to
your old self, or
to your old self, or anyone that's going through? I know you touched on it that you've acted with empathy and helped out people, but what's one key advice if you could go back to 20-year-old Alex or 18-year-old Alex or even the future Alex? What's one key advice you'd give to yourself and to our listeners?
Probably, I mean, I can think of two key things because I'll try and I want to keep it to one, but I kind of feel like I need to say two. One is that pain is always temporary. Like it, there is always an end to it, regardless of what it is. Like you'll feel very, very bad in some moments, but it does pass, and that's true for everything. You can almost wait it out, especially with mental stuff. But the other one is like the thing that I've taken on board most recently is just like, I think I was definitely a victim of this, getting brought into the whole culture of grinding, like just grinding yourself all the time, like work hard, work yourself into the ground, is so toxic. I definitely got into that. It was almost like if I wasn't in some form of pain, I wasn't doing it right. Mm-hmm. But now, and this is what I've really come to terms with recently, is like I look at things, I'm just like, well, if as I said earlier, if I don't enjoy it, then what? Like, what's the point? You know, like, why would I want to live my life just causing myself suffering the whole time when I was something that's in my control?
That's a great point. A lot of people don't think that way. They think
it just doesn't make sense, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about, okay, this is the way I think about it. So say I wanted to win like the French Open, which is on right now. So say I wanted to win that, right? So if I was going to cause myself, if I had to just like punch myself in the face every single day, and after 3 years of doing that every single day, I would win it. What would be the point? I'd be punching myself in the face every single day for 3 years for a brief moment of satisfaction and success. Like, oh, what's the point? If I don't enjoy doing it each day, to me anyway, at this point, it seems like there is no use to it in that way. And I'm not saying that, there aren't things that you're going to do sometimes that you won't enjoy, that have to be done. It's true, you're going to have to do that. But when the main things that you do in your life are just not enjoyable and just causing you more harm than good, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but I think I would go to it's all about perspective, I guess, because I do enjoy tennis, but I made it so difficult for myself, I guess. Like, going there, I'd be worrying about all these different things, and I come out feeling worse than when I started. Like trying to work on all these different things, feeling like I'm not getting better, and all this stuff. It's just like, well, that was a waste of 2 hours, partly because I didn't. Maybe I got a little bit better, but I felt worse afterwards in my head. And then the problem is with that is then I just, me being me, I'm always trying to figure out what I can do better. So I'd spend the next however many hours of the day trying to figure it out in my head, what I can change to improve. And all I want to do is be back on court, the one place that I hated being earlier in the day. And it's a vicious cycle that I think is so easy to get into. But I really think that they say trust the process, but I just think enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good a wording for that. It's like, enjoy the journey and not the destination, because you want to be a tennis player, but if your journey, you're gonna go through ups and downs, but if it's almost like you don't love the journey there, like it's not really worth it. And also and that's what I put in my high school yearbook too, on my little thing, so I always use that, like the little quote. But this is a funny thing too, because when we work with our students over at different schools, we do a game like Would You Rather, and I would ask them, would you rather work a job that you hate but pays you really good, or do a job that you love that pays you a decent amount? Everyone's going for the job that pays them a lot, but I think as you get older, you start to realize that you rather do something you're passionate about every day and getting paid for it, because it's like you're living and you're not regretting it or dreading to go to work.
And then they say, what's the other saying? They say that, by the way, who is they? I always wonder that in life, right? We always say they say, but they always say that if you work a job that you enjoy, it'll never feel like work.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. That's kind of what I want from the once I finish college. Like, but what that made me, what your would you rather thing made me think of is like the whole. It's massive distortion I think that we have as a culture, especially like, you know, in the US and in the UK as well. Like we work 5 days a week or 6 days a week so that we can enjoy 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Just when you think about that as it literally is, like it's beyond me how that's become the norm in a way. It's so distorted. It's crazy. And becoming aware of that and understanding that it's not like you can enjoy what you do. It doesn't, even if that can be tough, you can still enjoy it. Like I still have to work hard, you know what I mean? But I still enjoy it because I feel like I'm getting better. And it's like, whoa, I'd rather just lie down on my bed and just scroll through Instagram the whole time than go out and practice or do whatever. Then it's
passion.
What country is the country that I think they only work like 3 days a week or 4 days a week? Do you guys remember? Do you guys know?
I'm gonna move there tomorrow.
Dude, I think it's some country in Europe where like, you know, they work like 4 days a week and they got like.
And you're telling me this?
I don't know. I forgot where.
Honestly, it's probably one of the Scandinavian countries, man. They're so happy out there. It seems like a heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
They just quietly do their thing, but they're absolutely loving life. And UK and US are over here, we're shouting, thinking, oh yeah, we're the best country in the world, but everyone hates their lives.
Dude, and you know, it's crazy too, because like I feel like, you know, if I got like 4 days off right on the week, when I got 3 days at work, I'm working hard, you know what I mean? But yeah, because I'm refreshed, ready, mentally prepared. But you know, if I'm working 5 days a week, you know, I'm like just trying to get drive. So
Alex, to our last situational dive, another thing that we teach here, it's a proactive versus a reactive. It's called COPE. So COPE stands for communication, offering, positivity, and empowerment. When is a time that you've used one of those in a situation where you were either stressed or going through a situation where you were unhappy with someone and you really needed to find a solution? So either you use communication, offering, positivity, or empowerment.
So I had a friend who was having a very hard time mentally, struggling with suicidal thoughts and things like that. And I can't remember the exact words I used to talk to him, but I used, as I was saying earlier about acting with empathy, I just talked to him about my experiences and tried to help him relate to me and just use me as like a physical proof that you know, you can move past where you're at now. It doesn't always have to stay the same. And I hope it was helpful. I think it was, but that was really just all I just tried my best to help him see that there's light, I guess, light at the end of the tunnel in a way. And I'm the proof of that.
So a lot of, that's really great. So you did a lot of offering there, showing an example, and then offering that, hey, like I'm here for you as well.
And communication.
Communication as well. And that, I know it's not easy on your end as well, because you're having to share an experience that's traumatic to you, but then it's also tough on their end because they may not want to see what you're saying, and they may say, you know, like, no, my situation is different. But a lot of props to you. I'm really grateful to have you on this podcast because it really showed me that you've went through a lot, and as you've said, there's been a lot of downs, but you have pushed, and on top of that, you didn't just look at it for a selfish reason. Oh, it's just about me. You said, you know, there are other people who are going through it. I'm going to be there to support them as well. And I hope that a lot of our viewers understand that you are someone who has really achieved a lot, but you know that you have so much more to gain, and that there's going to be downs in life. But you're going to find a way. You're going to be resilient, and you're going to find a way through it. So I really do appreciate you just sharing your experiences. And JP has something really unique and fun for you.
Yeah. So we are at our last session of the episode. It's called Shout It Out, Alex. So shout it out. You got 36 seconds to shout out anything you want. You can shout out your coaches or anybody. 30 seconds, free promotion to our audience that's listening. So I got the timer here. Think about what you're gonna say. Here we go. 30 seconds.
I'll just shout out IUPUI tennis. That's our handle on Instagram. You should go check us out. IUPUI Jaguars as well. That's the athletics program. Where else do I go? My name's Alex Jochim, Jochim. You can find me. I don't post that much, but maybe I will now. Maybe if I get a following out of this.
Awesome. 30 seconds. Here we go. S3E6 coming to you all the way live.
Thanks for tuning in to the Peakcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and all of our social media outlets for the latest content. See you guys soon.